Welcome back to Freedom Unfolding, an inclusive, holistic community that offers education, options, and inspiration to find your truth, find your voice, and find your freedom. I am Maia, the co-owner of Free to Be Healed, Holistic Health Therapies. I practice with my life and business partner, Heather Rose. We have a trauma-informed approach that honors the interconnection and expression of a client's mind, body, emotion, spirit, and soul. We value the body's innate wisdom, whose intelligence seeks to return us all to balance. Additionally, we specialize in supporting the softening and the release of both unprocessed emotions and trauma held in the body through body work, energy work, and conscious communication. In 2020, we've been really grateful and excited to expand our play therapy practice with children and also with inner child work. And I haven't had a chance to listen to it yet, but I know Jillian Holper had a podcast last week about healing the inner child. So in this podcast, episode 14 of Freedom Unfolding, in my seat as the co-chair of Free to Be Healed, I'd like to tell a story. I'd like to align in vibrancy and awareness of consciousness of things coming together in my personal life and a greater awareness that I've had of repeating themes. So I'm going to begin with a story and let it channel through. This story begins eons ago in the molecules beneath the sea, the algae, and the seahorses beginning to form into spines and curvatures and freedom. It begins with a light of hope, a promise of ascension, which means a promise of hope out of darkness, evolution and creativity out of potency, and the rotting chemical reactions of creation. It begins far under the seas in Lemuria, in Atlantis, before Lemuria became part of the sky on Earth, and it begins in the far reaches of outer space, the Galactic Council, Federation of Star People, and a mission sent to planet Earth, a galactic mission of inner space astronauts. It's interesting, on a side note, this theme, this real life story, has been showing up in my sessions. It's very exciting. So this fleet of inner space astronauts with this centralized mission of going to planet Earth for the purpose of world peace on planet Earth and universal hope and enlightenment and peace. And the interesting thing about this unified mission of hope and peace and brilliance and nonviolence is that the astronauts got separated from their original mission, in a sense, this primal forgetting of who we are in order to remember and return to who we are and how that connects to all things, and separated from their source, basically, and got sent way into the depths of our DNA code, so really small inner astronauts with literal astronaut suits exploring the depths of our... I wrote it down. So the theme is alienation, and the inner astronaut, the protective suit around the inner guide, the inner guidance, the voice. A central mission of inner space exploration in order to dig deep into ourselves, to ascertain, to explain, to find health, wellness, and peace inside, to disassemble the corruption and invasion of our agency, our empowerment. And now, the time has come. The gates and the time and portals of dimension are opening. Cosmic time lapses are aligned, and we're being called out of these alienated places of not knowing there are any other inner space astronauts on the same mission, or being called out of our alienation, out of secrecy, out of shame, into trust, into faith that the time has arrived. Community is here. We are not all alone. The time for peace is here. And traveling intradimensionally, which means coming out of ourselves, out of our minds, out of our egos, out of that control station in our head, the beeping and the bopping and the micromanaging and the thinking and the analyzing, into the light of the golden moon dancing, the eagle sunlight singing. And we gather by the trees, in the forest, by the river, in sacred ceremony. We dance, we pray, we're together. And in the hopeful sunlight, we take our oxygen masks off of the astronaut helmet, the masks that have kept us breathing filtered oxygen inside our own bodies, the dimensional places of not knowing that there is safe air to breathe in the inner reaches of ourselves that is so foreign and so unknown, the depths of the galaxies inside ourselves. So by the river, by the trees, in circle and ceremony, tribe congregating, coming together for spiritual support, for shamanic breathing, for breathing, for options. We take those astronaut helmets off and those oxygen masks, and there's this experience of having each other, having ourselves, and having our guides, our knowledge, the intelligence, and the inspiration that cares and guides us, and the air, the molecules of the air that care about us. And so I've been having this vision of this storyline, and in practice, actual innate intelligence of people's body releasing pain and finding home, and like retrieving soul parts and integrating pieces of reality, like a number of clients actually experiencing this alienated astronaut on this long journey that they never knew would end, able to come out of the body, become life-size, integrate into themselves, and begin like searching for community. And I'm also really excited to be drawing some pictures and graphics for this image and continuing the storyline. It's really interesting because the storytelling of the alienated inner space astronaut inside of us can be metaphorical to feeling all alone and different in our human experience, our human condition. My experience has been the aloneness and the alienation with so many mental health labels and chronic illness, and most recently the path of really learning about neurodiversity, about autism, and beginning to learn tools about myself to take the pressure off myself, the internalized hate, the internalized judgment that keeps me analyzed and twisted up into self-limiting beliefs, into not thinking that I can succeed, and feeling just very alone and very alien and very different. And I think my point, coming back to these inner space astronauts, is, I believe that we're all diverse with different struggles that keep us from ourselves and from each other. And particularly in the neurodiverse community, I'm just beginning to be called home to whatever options that looks like. being called home to a wellness model as opposed to a disease model, where this spectrum of neurodiversity and being and feeling differently than, other humans, which I don't even really know what that means, normal or different, but this knowingness, this answer that there's nothing wrong or sick with me that needs to be changed, that needs to be healed, that needs to be manipulated, that this core being of myself, this is who I am, and this is who I get to be, and I get to express myself, and I get to be like, wow, this is all that I learned from that crazy journey of all those medications, of all that suffering and searching and hoping and listening and looking for clues. And my core belief and knowledge, apart from the pain, mental, physical, spiritual lostness, isolation, dissociation, disengagement, learning that for me the psychosis had the hallucinations, the paranoia, the not being labeled as being part of this sane reality, had important lessons for tools of psychic awareness, of boundaries, of empathy, of being in my own empowerment and not being overridden by other people's energy, about stressors, about lies, about how to be connected and protected in my own truth. My 17 years in the holistic health field and my long path, I've been positive that I'm on the path to health and wellness, and that I can be healthy and I can be vibrantly well in order to be of service and help others that might be experiencing similar things. And getting to this root foundation that I've known cognitively, bless my fiance Heather Rose and business partner, being in a relationship with her, beginning to feel some aspects of being safe in myself to express that, there's not ever been anything wrong with me. And this realization that the core aspect of my sensitivities, of my escalations, of my visions, of my basic core needs are perfectly beautiful and don't need to be punished or limited and get to be shared. And so this passion of mine for psychic reality, for embodiment, for connection to what is true and what is real in the imagination and the multi-dimension of whispers, of clues, of sincerity, of keys to reality. My passion and my practice is psychic embodiment. That became clear. And this story coming forth of the alienation of the inner space astronaut, feeling supported enough by a centralized mission to come out of deep and scary or fatigued places, or places of pride and adventure, coming out of only connecting to ourselves in one universe, and coming out of limitations into possibilities, into realizing how much there is and how much potential there is. And I'm not saying that the psychic reality, that the spiritual connection and feeling whole and being able to express ourselves is any minimizing or negating of the pain and suffering in the world. And I'm not saying that people should take their masks off that make them feel safe. breathing air and COVID-19. I'm bringing up this dimension of possibility of connecting to ourselves, this possibility of an end of a lineage of this core self-hatred of us as a culture and us as ourselves. This core judgment of too thin, too fat, too this, too that, really coming to a centered, empowered place with our language, with our visualizations of how to come out of those cycles of suffering and alienation and start to come together with the best parts of ourselves forward, and understanding that we're all human and there's a little bit of war in everyone. And starting to unpack the places that have been compressed and starting to invite the inspiration and the ideas to breathe. I'm an Aquarius. I'm a new-aged, queer, gender fluid, lesbian, neurodiverse, privileged individual to be sitting behind this computer screen talking about ascension and spirituality and coming out of labels in order to support each other, to feel safe and to be courageous. And just this knowledge that this unpacking of courage, this expression of what is possible, this coming together is really possible. Like, things look really dark, or more, we've got a lot more separation, a lot more reaching out to connect to each other through social media and through computers and through the technology available, but my belief is the dark ages that we're immersed in, that so many of us in developmental experiences and in family karma and past lives, it gets internalized. And we can't really tell the difference between our voice or somebody else's voice, or our truth, or what's what, or how big we are. If we're a tiny figurine-sized, like, astronaut inside a person's cell, or if we're a giant God-sized consciousness inside looking down at the vast scape of the universe. But the fact of the darkness, the pain, isn't us, even though it has been all-consuming. I know this podcast is a bit out there and etheric, and we offer one tool for every session. I appreciate you coming along with this ride for me. And I think the one tool that I'd like to offer for this session is the beam of light, that golden moonlight dancing, that sunlight, that the kind Galactic Council has been waiting for to rise onto the horizon of possibility, the kind of dawning of that age of Aquarius, that possibility of light, so the essence of golden light. So the awareness that there's a lot of darkness and there's a lot of pain. And there's also a lot of vibrancy and searching and brightness and getting lost and confused. So if I could offer, or I am offering one tool for today, it is to work with that golden light. To take a few moments or minutes in the sun, feeling the vitamin D, and the antimicrobial, antiviral effects, or being by the moonlight and feeling that golden protective energy, visualizing breathing with golden, visualizing it like a little cap on our heads, on our crown chakra, moving through our spine, out our feet, up and out of our heads. The reason being that the golden energy, psychically, energetically, antibacterially, antivirally, don't know if that's a word, gives us a frequency of our own space, warms and comforts the darkness of pain, and also soothes darkness that might be in hibernation and reaching and growing, and also gives us a buffer and a sense of choice between our energy and everybody else's energy. It's kind of a whole mediumistic lesson, but just inviting in to our consciousness gold energy, gold light, moving through our cells, in our energy body, in our field, releasing what doesn't serve us, what might be heavier than us, into the earth to be recycled. Earth energy coming up our feet, out our hands, out our head, and inviting the gold inspiration from the cosmos, from the earth, from the ground, to come into ourselves and saturate us, so that we get to fill up and we get to glow. And the aspect of what, or the invitation of what ways might we all be having survival masks on, inner astronaut masks that we feel like we probably did need that to succeed or to survive not only the COVID mask, but the emotional ways that we are scared to express, or scared to be, or calculating, or trying. The invitation, even just in a meditation or breathing, to set down some of the weight that you're carrying that's not you. And you know why, how you'll know that it's not you and that it's weight? It'll be heavier than you are. It'll feel heavy. Just practicing setting this down and just igniting that soft golden light candle in your yellow belly, your third chakra golden belly, and feeling that buffer, and feeling if there's any place where you're holding back or where you're masking, and just even in like relationship with yourself, practicing setting that down and being like, why is this here? Is this me? Does this serve me? How can I let that go? So I think this, in conclusion, this podcast has been, for me, like coming out into expression, into community, and dreaming of all the things, touching base about, neurodiverse masking, about calling forth community for all the labels, all the places where it might be really scared to be ourselves, where we might not feel safe or related to, and inviting in the psychic tools and the compassion towards self, and just my vulnerability and my authenticity and my standing up and who I am, and ready to be called and included, and not hiding. That integrated embodiment of self, being seen, speaking up, and having fun and having adventures. I can truly say I hope to encounter each and every one of you on the playing field of peace, of imagination, of stardust and fountains in heaven and rejuvenation. May imagination take flight, may it inspire, may it change the foundation of reality and ease suffering and make way for peace and fairness, and may we each be delivered from alienation to the river of possibility. May Mother Earth be healed, may Father Sky be held, and may we all prosper and thrive. These are my greatest hopes and prayers. Again, thank you for joining me today. This is Maia Moonbeam, signing out of Free to Be Healed. Please join the Freedom Unfolding community every Thursday around 3:33 p.m. as we discuss how to neutralize the chaos and expand the possibilities in life. Here at Freedom Unfolding, we help you find your truth, find your voice, and find your freedom. You can connect with us on social media. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Anchor, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. We have a website, freedomunfolding.com. We're honored to be coming to you each week and invite interactions and growth and inspiration. Blessings to all.